Hey guys, welcome back to Surviving the Badge Bar. Two cops in a bar talking cop shit. So we're going to kick off our first episode of So You Want to Be a Cop. Our last episode was kind of like an intro to the whole thing, a coverall, and I thought it was a good intro. So LT is going to talk us through the first stages of being a cop, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to do this series as long as we want. Why?
Because it's our show,
right?
And we hope you love it.
Exactly. So what do you got for us, LT?
So the first show in this series is going to be called How to Survive the Police Academy and FTO.
Beer.
FTO, yeah. FTO is Field Training Officer or Field Training Program. So How to Survive the Police Academy. Number one I put on here is listen, ask questions, and study.
Yes.
I mean, you have got to go into this thing prepared to listen, write a million copious notes.
Yes.
Organize them, and you got to study. If you think you're going into this thinking it's just another college class, you're wrong.
Yeah, the instructors in at least in my academy, I'm pretty sure most academies, they're cops. And they're not going to put up, with you being a slack ass and sleeping.
No.
And I tell my students, my criminal justice students, if you're tired, like if we go on a field trip or something and you're tired, stand up and go to the back of the classroom.
Yeah.
Do not fall asleep. On these things. And you got to be squared away, and you got to take the shit seriously.
And here's another thing, you're getting ready to go through a police academy, and I would say that probably over 90% of the police academies nowadays require some type of physical agility and physical testing, whereas when I went through, there was none of that. There was no running, there was no calisthenics, there was no marching, there was none of that shit when I went through. Of course, that was 1984, but
I went through in '89, and they had implemented a DT program.
Okay.
And the DT program was all of the instructors, SWAT guys. So they killed us
in mega shape.
Yeah. Labruciano, remember him?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Marty.
Yeah. I mean, so we were running miles.
Marty. I love you, Marty.
We were running up the fire tower. I was trying to run up the fire tower.
Was it a DT or a PT?
It was both.
Oh, yeah. Defensive tactics and physical.
We did. So we did.
Nice.
We would warm up with running, and we had the circle of death, and and the people who ate Sunnies that day were puking all
Ralphing. Yeah.
So it was intense.
Yeah.
And then we had defensive tactics, and from what I understand now, and this is great for you guys. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of the academies are doing a lot of the ground fighting instead of the the stuff that we used to do.
If he holds his arm out, you're going to bend his wrist and turn it, and you're going to pull him down.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Ground fighting is the way to go.
Krav Maga is the way to go, man. The ground fighting and all that. It is the way to go. My son Tyler is taking a Krav Maga class, and he said, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
You get your ass beat. But anyway, get yourself in good physical condition, start running, working out, eating right at least 6 months before you start this academy.
I would say at least.
If you can't run a mile in under 9 or 10 minutes, let's say 12 minutes. If you can't run a mile under 12 minutes and you're an average age of 25, 26, you got a problem.
Yeah.
You need to get that down. Especially if you're 23, 24, you're down to about 10 minutes, minimum 10 minutes. So, start doing some push-ups, sit-ups, calisthenics, jogging, get yourself in good physical condition, start eating right, get your diet right, because this will help you, especially on midnight shift and all that, which we'll talk about. Horrible. If you got a good eating habits, it's going to help you, man, big time. And that physical conditioning is going to help you.
Now, don't get confused with what the requirement is, because the requirement is you have to run 220, jump over a fence or a wall and do a serpentine and everything. That's your PAT course requirement.
Right.
What they're going to do in the academy, though, is they're going to put you through hell. They're going to make you run miles. They're going to make you do everything. So don't just think, oh, I just need to be in shape for the PAT course. No. You need to step up your game.
You do, because, and here's another thing, when you get out here on the street, you want to be able to take care of yourself. You don't want to be able to or be one of those officers that every time some dude, gets in your face or pushes on you, that you're getting your ass beat and possibly your gun taken away and yourself hurt or killed or your partner hurt or killed because you couldn't take care of yourself.
Right.
Get yourself physically strong. There used to be a requirement where you used to have a Florida Highway Patrol. If you were under 5'10", you could not be a Florida Highway Patrolman.
Really?
In the 50s, 60s, and 70s. You had to be over 5'10".
Okay.
You had to be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of the highway, in the middle of nowhere. Where's your backup? It's like 30 minutes away. So you're just going to go, I'm going to run to my safe place. No, you're going to have to take care of yourself. So
the baddest dude I ever met was shorter than that. Remember Sanchez?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was what, 4'9"?
Yeah, Captain Sanchez. Yeah, about 5'5" and full of piss and vinegar.
Oh, my God. Former Marine. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Ooh, don't say former.
Oh, sorry. Marine. Retired Marine.
Retired Marine.
Retired Marine.
But yeah, and the next thing is take copious notes and arrange them in an order of subject so that you can study for this state final. That state final is no joke, folks. It is not a joke. And you need to get you a study partner. And when it's time to take the state test and you need to get a study group together and everybody get your notes, you'll have a study guide and everything else. I mean, what are you telling your folks? I know you teach this, you teach a class, for people that are looking into a law enforcement career. What are you kind of doing to get them prepared?
So, you bring a great point about the test. There's been plenty of people who've made it through the academy.
Yep.
And who's failed the test.
Flying colors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they had to take state tests 3 or 4 times to pass it. Yeah.
Because I'm in education, I know that there's more than just, because I used to, and I'm sure LT did too, you'd have a stack of index cards, and that was your study guide. Well, they have an app now. It's called Quizlet.
There you go.
And you put those in there, and you make as many, and you download as many Quizlets as you can. And you study, and study groups is an amazing thing. I tell my students, get with the smartest people, sit in the front of the class.
Yeah.
When my wife, she went back to school after years, and she was taking a math class, and the first couple of days she spotted the young kids who were the smartest, and she invited them over for pizza for study groups. Yeah. So study group is amazing. Man. And what I tell my students, and I found this out the hard way, being a cop and then now being in education, know the law.
Yes.
How many times do you see, especially First Amendment auditors, just verbally whooping the ass of an officer because they don't know the law.
They make them look stupid.
These guys know the law better.
They do.
No case law. I've had cases in my early years lost on a suppression hearing because I didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking back on it, like, why was the academy not 24/7 case law?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's so very important.
It is.
There's so much to it. Very first day of my class, they get a sheet of 30 case laws, and we go over them all the time. At the end of the year, they have a case law test, and we talk about it. I do scenarios where they should get a search warrant, and they don't get a search warrant. If they don't get a search warrant, I put them in. We have a courtroom in our school, and I put them in a suppression hearing, and I make them look horrible on the stand. Well, why didn't you get a search warrant?
Right.
What were you hiding? Or Miranda. Nope, didn't read Miranda. Suppression hearing. Yeah. So that kind of the law, the what you can do, where you can search, why you can search, all that. You can learn how to do a traffic stop.
Oh, yeah.
You learn that on FDO. The stuff you really need gets you not sued, gets you winning cases. That's the meat and potatoes of it.
And here's the other
and unfortunately, it's the boring shit.
It is.
Everybody hated it.
Wanted to go to sleep.
With Gus Beckstrom?
Oh.
Everybody hated it. But
pounded that shit. But I'll tell you what, when I walked out of his class, I was a better person because of it.
Absolutely.
And Gus Beckstrom absolutely kicked our ass on constitutional law, man. That guy was amazing.
He understood.
Amazing. And I would call him. He was a lieutenant in Winter Park PD, taught at the academy, became chief at, what was that? Oak Hill PD.
Yep.
And I would call him and say, LT, I got a question, man. This one's driving me nuts and I can't find anything on it. And he goes, oh, no problem. Cite this, look this up. And I say, man, thank you so much. So get to know your instructors. They're not your friends, but get to know them, and you'll know them, you know, especially if you go to work in an agency that's kind of local to where your academy is, because they're all from the local agencies within, you know, 25 miles or so. And you'll be able to call them anytime and go, hey, you know, this is Gregory from such and such. Can you help me out, man? I'm having a little bit of a problem here. My FTO kind of sucks. And, you know, yeah, you need to do this, and this. So
they want you to succeed.
They do.
That's ultimately the best thing is your success.
And you're one of their students. They do care whether they think you do think they do or not. So
absolutely.
The last thing, or one of the last things I'm going to say, reference the academy, is go out. If you don't already have one, go out and purchase something like a Glock 9mm, a full framed Glock, not one of these little ones. If you can borrow like a Glock 19, a Glock 22, which is a 40 caliber, but a 9mm, if you can borrow one from somebody to go through the academy, you know, a parent, an uncle, a brother, a sister, you know, somebody, go out and get proficient with that thing. Go to the range with somebody that knows what the hell they're doing. Somebody like this guy who can shoot the eyes off a gnat at 100 yards. Unbelievable. Bullshit.
This guy kicked my ass last time.
Yeah, bullshit. It was one shot and I got lucky. Anyway, go out and get proficient with the firearm. You must pass the firearm qualifications in the police academy before they will let you go. You got to shoot a 12 gauge. Well, it used to be a 12 gauge shotgun. It may be an M4 now, or like an AR-15 type assault rifle, which they
patrol rifle.
Yeah, they don't kick at all, guys.
No.
They're I mean, it's like shooting a damn 22. Yeah. But you got to shoot one of those. Easy peasy. That thing is so easy. If you can shoot a handgun, you can shoot one of them, no problem. I used to love it when the little guys and gals would come out and have to shoot that 12 gauge with that double-aught buck, and they damn near knock them on their ass. And I would tell them all, the first time you ever shot a shot, what the hell? Right. Why didn't somebody tell you go out and get a shotgun and go shoot this damn thing? Contact Mainstreet Realty for all your real estate needs. This power team includes Tom Clem, a veteran Marine and retired law enforcement professional.
If you do have to shoot a shotgun, I'll tell you this. The more aggressive you are in your stance with a shotgun, the better you're going to do. Press this against your shoulder and be aggressive. Lean forward.
Absolutely. Yep. Good advice. So get proficient with the firearm, learn how to use it, get a holster that you can draw from, learn how to draw from a holster, learn how to reload. It's all different. You go to the range and you just pow, 15 rounds. Okay, I've got 10 minutes to No, you're going to have to shoot like 6 rounds, pop the magazine out and pop a new magazine in, get on target and fire another 6 rounds. Do that like 2 or 3 times in a row. Boom, 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 boom. If you're not practicing, you'll go out of the range and you will fail in the academy and you'll look like a moron because everybody out there, all these old country boys that's been shooting their whole life will like look at you like, what the hell? So
I was teaching night.
Sorry, I had to do that. What the hell?
I was teaching night firing at one of the academies, and we had a guy who was just nervous and he'd never familiar himself. He shot himself in the leg.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You don't want to be that guy or that gal. We had a girl. Oh my God. I was out there and our department was qualifying and the academy was down on the other end. And I hear the instructor screaming, no, stop. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because I was just back chilling, waiting for the line to clear. And I look, and here's this young lady. She had fired and she got a jam or whatever because she limp wristed it and the shell got caught.
Stovepipe. Yeah.
Yeah. She turns around with the gun in her hand and lazes, which is called lazing, lazes the whole freaking line. There's guys ducking, hitting the ground. The instructor's running over, grabbing her hand like this. Oh my God. So just get proficient with the firearm. You don't want to be that person that goes out there and looks like a complete idiot and gets failed. So do that. And then my last thing on the academy, and then I'll let you have a comment real quick,
Yep.
and we'll move on to FTO real quick, is, and I covered it earlier a little bit, study for that state exam. That is the most important. When you get out of the academy, you've passed, you're all happy, your family's all happy, you get your little award, you get your certificate, I passed the police academy, and then you're sitting there and you fail the state exam 3 times. After you fail it, I think it's the 3rd time, you have to go all the way back to the academy again.
Yep.
Do you want to do that? No, take this shit serious, man. It's not a game.
Right.
It is not a freaking game.
One thing I want to mention, and this is the small stuff that really counts.
It is.
And LT and I, because I think maybe we're old school, but
no, we're not old school.
We both have boys, and with the girls too, but mostly the boys. Simple stuff. Walk to somebody and say, "Hi there," and shake a hand.
Oh, I'm getting into that.
Oh, you did
FTO. We're going in.
I think this is even important.
Absolutely.
I have to teach my students
the interview technique.
How to shake hands.
Oh my God.
How to shake hands.
What are we coming to,
dude? I'm because in my class, the very first of the year, we do interviews, and I hit on, hey, do you guys know how to shake hands? Well, maybe, and a nice firm handshake, eye contact. Thank you very much for seeing me. Thank you very much. If you're in the application phase, and they call you in, dress nice, dress professional. A collared shirt doesn't have to be a tuxedo, but you come in, dress professional. Eye contact. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I have to break my students from saying yeah. I'm working on that, and then yes, no, it's yes, and then it's yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And the last thing I'm going to talk about that.
This is awesome.
So the people you're talking to, or in the academy, they're going to be on the hiring boards.
Yes.
And that impression you make from day one will carry with you. If you come in there with ratty jeans and you just look like shit just to drop off some information, they're going to remember that. If you say, I need you to bring in some
word.
Yeah. Okay.
Heard.
And you don't handshake, things like that. Another thing, this is all
this is trying to get hired.
Right. Social media. Clear up the shit that's on your social media, because I know background investigators who will say, hey, come in and drop off a copy of your driver's license. Oh, while you're here, log into all your social media for me.
Yep.
And you're sitting there hitting a bong, and bye-bye.
Yeah, you're flashing money and guns.
Yeah.
Or you've got a video on there that every other word is the N-word, 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 or something like that. Dude, you're not even getting an interview if all that kind of shit that he just said is on your...
You got to do some prep work before you even think about getting a job in law enforcement. Your email address.
Yeah.
Okay. Fuzzy bunnies and rainbows 28 at Gmail. No.
Yeah.
Or sticker 62 at Gmail. No.
Or F you asshole 29.
Yeah.
Or what's the National Weed Day?
420.
420 forever.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, come on, guys. You gotta be smart here.
And I tell my students, I said, listen, you're not trying to get a job from your generation. You're trying to get a job from my generation.
Absolutely.
Right? You got a teardrop tattoo, or any tattoos on your face or neck. Now, when I was in law enforcement, they really frowned upon.
You couldn't have any on your arm,
right? But I think law enforcement, logically, they realized they were losing a lot of military vets and stuff, and so they loosened.
Our agency was the last one to finally allow visible tattoos on the arms.
Yeah.
I mean, forever they'd have to wear a sleeve, cover it with a dark sleeve. And it's like, my God, it's Florida. It's 80 or 99 degrees out here.
But they are going to look at your tattoo to see what it is.
Of course they are.
I know a guy who was trying to apply for the jail. One of my former college students. No, he was with a group and they were checking everybody's tattoo. And one of the guys he had like a KKK tattoo. They're like, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So this is all just laying the groundwork before you even get the job.
And then let's say
about that.
And then they call you and they say, okay, you have an interview on this. Here's your available dates, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Don't be that person that calls and says, oh, well, I scheduled myself for, Monday, but I'm sorry, I can't make it. You know, is somebody dying? Is somebody dying?
Right.
Unless somebody's dying, you better get your ass to the date that you set.
Yep.
So when you set that date for your interview, whatever it may be, you better make sure your ass is there, and you better be there 45 minutes to a half hour early, sitting in the lobby in your suit for males with your shoes that you could freaking comb your hair in if they're that type of shoe, or ladies, a nice dress or pantsuit or something that looks sharp. Not this low cut shit with your boobs hanging out the top, or guys with the freaking, collar undone and open and tennis shoes with a suit. That may look good for ESPN analysts on TV. That shit don't. I'm telling you right now, if you walked in my interview board and you had a suit on and it was kind of just, whatever, an open collar, and you had tennis shoes on with your suit, I'd be like, look at this moron.
Yeah. I've had Lieutenant LT come into my classroom and give my students exactly the same thing, because they do have to go through a promotion board or an interview board in first couple weeks in my class, and they use that stuff. When you said introduce yourself, shake everybody's hands.
First
Thank you very
thing,
much.
man.
They all did that.
Impressed the shit out of you, didn't it?
Right? I'm like, this is great, because we have people on the interview board. We have police officers and all that, and that's really good, and it does, and they were professional. Now, you don't have to go out and buy a $10,000 suit.
No.
I see somebody and like, okay, maybe they don't have a lot of money, but they're dressed well.
By God, they tried.
Yes,
and it's clean.
It's clean, pressed, and there's like, I want this job. I'm going to do what I can.
They have
to
a
get this
tie,
job.
and it's buttoned all the way up. The top button's done. The tie is tied. It doesn't have to be a perfect knot, guys. Unless you're from my generation, you probably know how to tie anyway.
It does have to be a double Windsor.
Well, I do a single, but yes, absolutely. But he likes the knots that are that freaking big, because, I mean, look at that hair. I mean, it's Einstein we're talking about here. You know, excuse me. Anyway, so first day of the interview, you walk into the interview, you finally get your interview with your agency that you've been dying to go to work for. You get your interview, you walk in. Here's the first thing you do when you walk into that room. Well, first thing you do is you introduce yourself to the secretary or whoever is taking your information when you walk in the door. And when they say, "Can I help you?" say, "Yes, ma'am or sir. I am Joe Blow Snodgrass. I am here for the interview at 10:30. I just wanted to check in and let you know I was here." "Okay, I will let them know you were here. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Go sit down. Turn your damn phone off."
Yep. Or leave it in the car in the first place.
Or leave it in the car, but if you're not safe, you don't want to do that, whatever. But turn the damn thing off. Put it in your jacket pocket where you can't see it. Turn it off. Walk into that interview board. When they walk you upstairs or down the hallway, whatever, first thing you do is you walk in that door, and you're going to walk in, and they're going to say, "Okay, you can have a seat over there." Don't have a seat over there. Once, stand next to the chair where they told you to sit down at. Once they all become seated, or they're all at their spot, usually behind a table or whatever, you're going to be in a chair all by yourself, sit in the middle of the room like you're a freaking suspect or something.
Right.
The only thing you won't have is the grilling lights on your face. Walk up to each one of them and say, "Good afternoon, good morning, good evening," whatever it is. "Good afternoon, Ronnie, blah, blah, blah. Good afternoon, Ronnie, blah, blah, blah." There'll be 4 or 5 interviewers. That way you had a chance for a what? First impression. What is a first impression, Camille? How important is a first impression?
It's the most important.
Thank you.
If it's a if it's a shitty first impression, I'm going to remember that. If it's a great, I'm going to remember that.
Absolutely. If it's
that guy, he didn't have all the great answers, but he was
professional.
I want to say 10-8, but people
he was professional as hell.
He tried. You could tell that he really wanted this job, and all that other stuff we could teach him.
And you know what else I did? Here's the extra step. And this is what I used to tell everybody, because I sat on, oh my God, it must have been, I bet you 150 promotion boards for other agencies, our agency for sergeant,
and
corporal,
and hiring boards too.
Yes, and the hiring boards. I must have sat on a bazillion of them, I think. But anyway, have your resume, your cover page and your resume in your hand in separate folders. Bring 5 or 6. If there's only 3 interviewers, you have a couple extra, you put them under your chair on the floor when you sit down. Hand a resume. How you doing? Or good afternoon. My name is such and such. Thank you for the interview. Hand them a resume. Here's my resume. Oh, we already have that. Yes, sir. I just want to make sure you have an updated one. Here it is, in case I forgot anything.
Yep.
Bam, 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 bam. Here is a colored folder. Ronnie G right across the front of it in big letters on your cover page. And they're going to say, holy shit, this dude or gal is for real.
Yeah.
They came in here for real.
Yep.
So have your shit together. If you guys got any questions about this, please send us an email, retiredcopsrule@gmail.com, or put it in the comments with your email. We will send you some extra facts and some helpful hints and all. Comment down below. But I'm telling you, the first impression is the most important. So you walk up, you did all that, you hand them a resume, you shook all their hands, you sit down. When you sit down, don't sit down with the man spread. Freaking legs all out here, freaking slumped over like this, phone in your hand, bottle of freaking Snap Cola or whatever you got in your hand,
Monster
Energy drink, or don't bring all that shit in there. If you want to bring in a plain bottle of water, that's acceptable because you're going to be doing a lot of talking. That way you can wet your whistle a little bit and you don't cough. That's perfectly acceptable. Set it down next to the chair before you introduce yourself.
Don't crinkle it.
No, and don't, but when you sit down, back straight up, hands in your lap, folded like this, across each other like this. Sorry, you couldn't see them down there. Like this, in your lap. And when you're answering a question, look each interviewer in the face as you're answering the question. So if Camille asked me a question, and he asked me, okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. That's going to be the first question in 90% of the interviews. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So prepare for that. Have a background story ready to go.
Not too long, not too short.
Yes, my name is Ronnie G. I am 29 years old. I have a college degree in XYZ. I went to high school at such. I went to college at such, whatever it is. I like to play sports. I have a family. I have 2 small children, or I have 2 children. I am married, 22 years to a loving wife. Her name is Ann, whatever it is. And police work, I did a tour in the Army. Whatever it is, just real short, sweet. I played college football. I played high school football, whatever it is that you think prepares you for the job and makes you sound good. Just a real quick 30-second little bam. This is me. I love myself. You love me. That's what this is all about. You're getting them to love you.
It's a fine walk between being cocky and not being confident enough. You want to be confident. Confidence goes such a long way, but you don't want to be that asshole.
Yeah, my name's Ronnie G, and I went to I have a 4-year degree at UCF for basket weaving, and my hobbies are watching porn.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's called an elevator speech. Look that up. I show my students a clip from, I think it's Austin PD. They took the day in the life of the police academy. Day 1 of the police academy, when the new recruits were coming in, all the instructors were sitting around talking about this. Hey, yeah, Bob Smith, when he came in and brought some paperwork in, he was dressed well. And you know what? Alice Jones, she's moved to the city last year and still doesn't have all of her paperwork ready, hasn't done all this,
hasn't changed her driver's license address.
Frank Johnson, he looked me in the eye, said yes sir, no sir. They remember this, and that will carry you through the academy and into the hiring.
Absolutely. And when you're going through this interview board, if you don't know the answer to a question, say, I apologize, sir or ma'am, I cannot answer that. However, I will immediately after this interview go research that topic, and I will have an answer for you.
Absolutely. Yep.
That way they show, okay, you didn't know the answer, but his ass ain't afraid to go and get the answer.
And he's not afraid to say, I don't know.
That's right. Because we don't know everything, guys. They're going to ask you questions that there's no possible way you could have known the answer unless you've been a cop for 4 or 5 years.
Exactly.
And you say, sir, I'm sorry, I'm not experiencing that. I don't have the answer.
And that's part of the test. What are you gonna do when you don't know? Are you gonna bullshit it? And we'll see
Exactly.
through the bullshit. So
when you get done with the interview, you're all done. You've answered all your questions. You're sweating like a freaking you know what in church, and you're done. And they say, "Do you have anything else? Would you like to make any further comments?" That is your time for the closing. You had the elevator speech at the beginning. Now is your closing. Say, "Yes, I do." Okay, go ahead. I would like to thank each and every one of you for your time. I know it takes a lot of your time to conduct these interviews. I really appreciate your time and giving us all a chance to come in here and interview for this position. I look forward to further interviews and to be a part of the blank, blank, blank police department or sheriff's office, as this, I understand this is a very up and coming agency, and it would thrill me nothing more than to come to work for you. For this agency, something to that effect. You don't have to lay it on too thick, but just, thank you for your time is what you're saying.
At least that.
And I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And then get up, and as they say, okay, that'll conduct your interview. Get up and shake each and every one of their hands again and say, "Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, ma'am, sir, ma'am, sir, ma'am, sir, ma'am."
Yep.
Shake their hand, nice firm handshake. Look them in the freaking eye.
Yep.
Don't go up there and say, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm telling you, every one of the ones that did that on my interview boards, whether they were getting promoted or whether they were looking for a job, if they looked down at the ground or if they looked over here and their eyes were over here when they were talking to me and I'm standing right in front of them, I'll say, "Don't hire them." And they're like, "What do you mean? Don't hire them?" Because they don't have the intestinal fortitude to look me in the eye when they're shaking my hand. What are they going to do when Joe Shit the Ragman scumbag is out here challenging them to a verbal confrontation? They're going to melt.
Yeah, they're going to pee their pants.
Screw that.
Yeah. No.
So have it ready to go when you walk into this interview. Make sure your shit is solid. And like he said, you're not going to have the answer to every question. You may not have it, and that's okay. It's no problem. Just don't freak out when you don't have the answer. Right. Pause for a second, think of your answer, give the answer.
Yep. All right.
That's it.
All right, guys. I know we gave you a lot, but that's the episode. That's the series we're going to be doing. So you want to be a cop. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to like and subscribe always. But I also want you to put a comment. Hey, what do you think about this? Are you going to cover this, or would you please cover this? And we'll absolutely let you know. Because we're going to cover a lot. I mean, we just covered right before
before you even got the job.
Right, exactly. So
yeah, next episode is going to be like, okay, you're hired. What do you do now?
Right.
And then the FTO process. Yep. We're going to try to cover a couple of small topics in each episode, and we may have to do 2 episodes because like FTO, oh my God, it's a whole lot of shit.
Yeah.
But it's going to be information that we hope helps each and every one of you or a relative that's getting ready to go through and become a police officer. I don't even know how many cops there are in the United States. There's hundreds of thousands of them. So somebody has a relative that's getting ready to go through police academy, guaranteed.
Yes.
And this also works for any type of professional position, a government position or anything else where you're going through the interview process, getting ready to go for a job.
Across the board.
Any job where you're if you show up and do some of the things that we talked about, they're going to be like, holy shit.
I did this when I got hired at the school board.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. It works everywhere.
Absolutely.
And I know your son did it.
Yep.
I know my son did it when he got his big highfalutin government job that he's got right now.
All right, guys. That's about all we have for today. We're excited about this series, and
we didn't do our beer moment.
That's all right. Just remember, always at surviving the badge with an empty glass.
We still got your 6. And thank you, sponsors, very much for everything you do for us. Thank you.